Hi, this is Rahman Sheikh. Welcome to Fortnightly Railway Transportation Systems podcast. I am the host and railway systems specialist working in this industry for 24 years and counting. This podcast is primarily focused on railway experts who have vast amount of experience and contributed greatly to this amazing industry. This is not a technical seminar but focuses on feel good stories, individual journeys, their success and failures, motivating younger generation to kickstart their career in railways and creating a sense of pride for the railway people who devoted their lives on the most environment friendly public transportation. Our guest for this fortnight is Vijay Kumar, Director Engineering Sydney Metro. Vijay is an engineering graduate from Birla Institute of Technology, Ranchi, India. He started his professional career over 35 years ago. He is an electronics and communication engineer with over 33 years of railway engineering experience and management of rail-based transport system. Vijay is a chartered engineer and is an engineering executive and fellow of Engineers Australia and Institute of Railway Signal Engineers. Vijay began his career in rail systems through Indian Railway Service of Signal Engineers. He has held senior positions in Indian Railways under Ministry of Railways. Later, Vijay moved to Australia in January 2006. Vijay has held senior executive positions of Global Vice President, Engineering and Freight Solutions in Ansaldo STS, now Hitachi Rail STS, and Head of Engineering, Australia, New Zealand, and ASEAN in Siemens Mobility. Vijay comes with 11 years of metro railway and 22 years in integrated rail systems and large infrastructure projects experience. He is known within the industry for his high skills in integrated rail system and systems engineering and integration with the domain and product knowledge of CBTC, ETCS Level 2, driverless systems, especially his involvement in design, development, systems integration, and assurance of various projects is widely appreciated. Vijay is a visionary, strategic, collaborative, and purpose driven leader with a track record of growing and providing professional services of railway system with a valuable combination of leading strategy, business transformation, and organizational change experience. Hi Vijay, welcome to Railway Transportation Systems podcast.
Thank you, Rahman, for inviting me and having me in your podcast.
So, this is my generic question. So, before I start, can you tell us your professional transport industry journey so far?
Thank you, Rahman. I graduated in a degree in electronics and communications engineering in 1987, and I started working for the Tata Group after my graduation. Then I appeared in the Indian Engineering Service Examination conducted by the Union Public Service Commission in 1988. Railway engineering services used to be the first choice, and I happened to join the railways being in the top 20 in the merit list. That's how my career in railways and transportation systems started. So we went through a 2-year training course in Indian Railway Institute of Signal Engineering in Secunderabad, Railway Staff College, Vadodara, and then on-job training in various training institutes of civil, electrical, mechanical, engineering, locomotive, coach and wagon facility factories of Indian Railways, all other management and administrative bodies. My first posting was in Eastern Railway, which had its headquarters in Calcutta, before moving to Mughal Sarai, which is near Varanasi, as a divisional engineer, where I was posted for around 4.5 years. I got a chance to work in Delhi Metro in August 1998 as a deputy chief engineer, and was very fortunate to get the opportunity to work on the first automated metro being built in India. Obviously, there was not much experience in India at that time on metro system, but we had lots of trainings. I in particular, had undergone training in Japan, 3 months with JICA, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, and Europe, and was involved in the first 3 lines of Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Then, after December 2005, when the first 3 lines were built, I got an opportunity to move to Australia with Ansaldo STS, which happened in January 2006. And then I had been with Ansaldo from January 6 till November 2016, having been principal system engineer to vice president freight system engineering, and was involved in multiple advanced railway system projects like ATMS, the world's first driverless system for heavy haul based on ETCS Level 2, popularly known as Auto Haul, Roy Hill, which was an ETCS level 2 based on virtual bullies and GPS-based LDS. That was also world's first. Then I moved to Siemens Mobility in November 2016 as a head of engineering, Australia, New Zealand, and ASEAN. And I was there till March 2020. Then I moved to Sydney and worked in the metro project of Sydney Metro for MTR. And here I am in Sydney Metro as a director of engineering, working for rail systems and functional integration since last 17, 18 months.
Wow, such an interesting and diverse journey. I know you are a combination of talent and skills. You add up great performance, Vijay. So, you started your railway journey with Indian Railways. Can you tell us how it is working with Indian Railways?
As you know, that Indian Railways dates back to over 160 years ago. On 16th April 1853, the first passenger train ran between Boribandar, Bombay, which is now called Mumbai, and Thane, a distance of 34 kilometers. It was operated by 3 locomotives, and those locomotives were called Sahib, Sultan, and Sindh, and had 13 carriages. So today, the Indian Railways is the 4th largest national railway system in the world by size, with a total route length of 68,000 kilometers. Runs 12,600 trains to carry over 23 million passengers daily, and runs more than 7,400 freight trains carrying 3 million tons of freight every day. So that's the organization we worked in. Railways inducts engineers from Union Public Service Commission, and one has to be in the top 15 to 20 amongst the millions who appear in the examination to join Indian Railways. It's a premium service. I joined Indian Railways on 22nd January 1990 and started my training of 2 years at Iriset, Secunderabad. It's a comprehensive training, 2 years, where you rotate through the other engineering discipline, training institutes, management institutes, R&D institutes, on-job field training. And then you have to pass 2 examinations in order to be posted in the operating railways. It's a very big organization. In my time, it was 1.6 million employees and was divided into 9 zones, and every zone had more than 4 to 5 divisions. So one can get a posting in O&M of a division called open line, that's the normal word that is used, or in a projects division to build new infrastructure. So I have gone through all these phases of O&M projects and was fortunate to have worked on some very advanced technological systems and projects, like the interstation block working over 18 gigahertz radio system station to station instead of normal copper cable-based system. Lots of multiple aspect color light signaling, communication system, and the biggest route lay interlocking of Asia, which was in Mughalsarai with 1,400 routes. Very enriching experience, as one has to manage not only the technical management of rail systems, train control, and signaling, you have to manage a staff strength of around 1,500 as a minimum, and interdiscipline coordination amongst various engineering and transportation disciplines. It's a 24-hour working because trains don't stop at night. And any incident and failure would require our involvement depending on the severity of the incident or failure. So there was a saying in the Indian Railway, we all used to joke with each other, we don't need to go and get an MBA degree. We get it 5 times over a period of 5 years, given the intensity of the work we were involved in. So that's
Agreed.
Indian Railways that is very, very comprehensive and enriching experience to have worked with Indian Railways.
I agree, completely agree. Even I served 9.5 years with Indian Railways. What a great stats. Not many would have known about them, Vijay. Thanks for sharing. Now from Indian Railways to Delhi Metro. As we know, Delhi Metro is the first automated railway in India more than 20 years ago. How did that make you grow professionally?
You know, Rayman, I got an opportunity to join Delhi Metro in August 98 when the project had just started. So even the office was temporary. So everybody used to sit in a big hall, except the managing director who used to sit in his chamber office. It was a complete new area for all of us to build a metro in India. And none of us had a background of what is today called a CBTC, or a system which integrates rail systems, E&M, trains, and infrastructure. So it was quite a new frontier for us. So we had a general consultant, which comprised of PCI, PBI, Tonichi, JARTS, and RITES. So that was basically the consultant and the engineers of the project. I was fortunate to have been seconded to the general consultants to work in the rail system area. So as I said earlier, that I was sent for a 3-month training in Japan for advanced signaling system, which included all this ATP, ATO, and ATS and computer-based interlockings. I was sent to other trainings as well, to MTR, to Hong Kong, to SMRT in Singapore, and many study tours to study about the metros around the globe. That was the, let's say, the launching pad of the learning process. The project was of 3 lines in phase 1, 55 kilometers, 2 different suppliers. Line 1 and 2 Alstom with U200. What we have today in Australia is a U400, so that was the precursor to that. Line 3 was with Siemens, and these 3 lines had over more than 40 to 50 trains to be done with this ATP and ATO. It was a complete experience, starting from concept design, writing the tender specifications, review of the technical proposals, finalizing the tender. Then we moved to design review to meet the technical, to understand how the system design meets the technical specification, installation, system integration, test and commissioning. Experience of a lifetime, Rahman, to integrate the E&M,
Agree.
trains, signaling and comms, to get to work together safely and effectively to deliver the headway and the capacity that we specify. And additionally, the whole of learning and how system assurance is carried out with the involvement of ISA and safety authorization from Commission of Rail Safety. This was the first project in India which was done in accordance with the SENLEC standards 50, 126, 128, and 129. This project of around 7.5 years that I was there with made me move from a conventional signaling engineer, a systems engineer, to a new generation of system engineer with focus on system engineering, integration, assurance, and to get expertise on advanced signaling system of ATP, ATO, ATS, which is CBTC, tunnel ventilation, power, non-power, SCADA, Tetra radio system, fiber optics, PA, PIDS, and you name it. So that was a very, very extensive experience that we got of 7.5 years that made us move from one scale of working to another scale of working.
Wow, Metro has kept you occupied and active. I believe gaining new skills and work experience help reach goals in our careers, such as yours. So, from migrating from India to Australia and working from client to supplier side, how was this transition ride? Please share the change and how hard was it to adopt?
Rayman, we decided as a family to move to Australia to explore future opportunities, having learned and grown in modern train control and signaling system over the last 17, 18 years from 1918, 1990 to 2005 December. So I was looking for opportunities and there were plenty galore because of involvement in Delhi Metro, which was the launching pad of having worked there for 7.5 years for 3 lines. So the decision to come to Australia was also influenced by my sister and brother-in-law being in Australia. They are doctors here. Ansaldo STS offered me a job of a principal engineer, and I joined them in January 2006. It was a big change for us. Not many things that we were aware of, not many things that we anticipated. It was a cultural change from India to Australia because it's two different cultures. Fortunately, we adapted very quickly. As both me and my wife, we were coming from that British school background and having worked with general consultants does help. The other challenge was the work culture change professionally. To adapt from a most modern technological projects to a more conventional signaling project, as was most of the projects in Australia at that time. So that was a big, let's say, professional cultural shock or a change. And then the pace of working. Having driven Delhi Metro for 7.5 years as the chief signal engineer, then coming to the supplier side, it was a new paradigm. It was a new way of working. It was a bit slow as well compared to what people may not realize that in India, it was much fast-paced, especially Delhi Metro. The change from client side to a supplier side was another adaptation because, as I said, it was going to a more conventional signaling and then your scope of work was limited to what the contract was getting you to do. Then, obviously, we were looking at to see how advanced systems opportunities come through. We were very fortunate to have the opportunity at Ansaldo to start with the proof of concept of ATO, which later on became AutoHaul, which later part of my career.
Yeah.
There were new frontiers were opening up, new solutions to meet the market needs, working with R&D, a team back in Europe. And that was the, let's say, some of the challenges and opportunities that we got. But yes, it was a change and we adapted to it. It was not a smooth change. It takes time, but everybody has to adapt to the new circumstances and situations and to grow with it.
Wow, change is really hard. Hearing to you looks like you've covered all the four components of change management: communication, commitment, community, and clarity. I also know that you have worked in some legacy projects. What were the engineering challenges in designing, developing, integrating, and delivering, such as world's first autonomous heavy haul railway based on ETCS level 2 and being driverless?
Rayman, this is a very good question and very close to my heart. As you know that you were in Ansaldo working with me at that time.
Yeah,
So at that time in January 2010, Ansaldo was unified globally. So that integration of Ansaldo globally gave us and brought many opportunities to learn and grow and to define solutions which can be cutting edge. We were able to relook at the auto hall system architecture to be based on ETCS level 2 and also define a new ETCS level 2 solution based on GPS based location determination system for Roy Hill. It was a complete technological shift from a conventional system to an integrated system based on ETCS. Both of these projects were one of its kind. And this type of opportunity one only gets once in a lifetime. Now, to name a few things specifically on auto hall, it started, from a basic input being an operational requirement specification that came from Rio Tinto, the client. So it was basically you start from first principles, develop the system requirement specification, the system architecture design, have the system baseline, have the integration strategy of the system, RAM strategy, etc. Use of ETCS level 2 as the basis of the system, then use ATO on top of it, because there was no ATO over ETCS that was done previously, and that too even for a heavy haul railway and other associated systems. The other big challenge was an ETCS level 2 not with GSMR, because in Europe, ETCS is defined with GSMR. So this was a packet switch data network. Today, people call LTE 4G, but we did that in auto hall with a packet switch network that was called data radio and not GSMR. And one of the most important feature was that when there is a communication link break between the RBC, which is the radio block center, and the onboard EVC, due to some radio coverage problem, a satellite was used as a backup communication for communication with the RBC to the EVC. First time in the world. Next was that another first time in the world was that, as you know, Birla is 1,500 kilometers from Perth. The operation control center was in Perth. So the RBC was in Perth, 1,500 kilometers away, going through a dedicated lease line, talking to the wayside network. There were existing interlockings. So you had to get all the vital data of the interlockings through a gateway from Birla over that lease line. And there was no optic fiber in some sections. You know, the old technology of using a rail as a communication between two microtracks interlocking was used. So we put data communication of the interlocking to the gateway in Pilbara and then over a radio, point-to-point radios. Then there was no automatic train operation for heavy haul at 240 wagons, 2.5 kilometer long train, 30,000 tons and more. Okay, that type of thing, a railway. So it was basically that driving strategy was coming from New York Air Brake in US. But they had experience in that. We integrated it as part of the ATO. And then a number of new subsystems like obstacle detection system and level crossing, the video image capture system, the collision protection system on the train. These were the main technical challenges, besides many other things which were there. But then there was a system integration issue of integrating the various subsystems, number of them together, and to be safe and operationally effective. So we started in different configuration states, with just ATP, which is basically called Goa 1, then with only ATO with a Goa 2, then Goa 3, and then finally Goa 4. This was all the system development was as per the EN standards, 51, 26, 28, 29. Safety case with ISA at the generic application level in Europe, the specific application level in Australia. That was the first ETCS level 2 in Southern Hemisphere. It went to the Guinness Book of World Record in 2020. Number of technical challenges, number of technical firsts, and a really once-in-a-lifetime project that I'm very, very fortunate and proud to be associated with.
Brilliant. Really, me too. Intense. This is really, really intense. And you touched the system integration part, which my previous guest, Mark Wild and Thais, also covered this. It's very, very crucial. There are many engineering challenges in projects, but this particular project looks like is centered technological advancements, project management, skills. Amazing. To achieve all these good things, Vijay, so far we discussed, continuous learning is key. As we say, learning ends at graveyard. Can you share the importance of continuous learning, especially in developing skills in products within new technology such as ETCS level 2 and CBTC?
Rahman, the most important thing is to keep your mind open and always keep learning. That's the basic point. Then, when we want to develop new skills in new technology, we have to consider the following. Have your basics of rail control systems, including conventional signaling, strong, because both ETCS and CBTC and any future advanced signaling system or control system will always be based on conventional signaling. The starting point is always your foundation of conventional signaling system. So you just cannot learn CBTC without knowing signaling. Okay, that's point number one. Then one has to change the approach for looking at things. Rather than looking from bottom up, one has to start looking from top down system based approach coupled with RAMs, safety, reliability, etc. Once we start these two things, have your basics right, change the way to look at things, this will help in better appreciation of new systems and technologies. Then, once after having done this, then we have to look at another area. Look at the functional and system requirements rather than the detailed design to understand as to how the system functions and why it is defined and developed the way it has been. What is it that it is trying to perform? What objectives are being met? And this is what one has to look at with a new way of thinking. Participate in these areas with your peers and mentors. On job involvement is key. Finally, keep thinking and behaving like a student to keep learning. That's what I would recommend to people.
What an answer. I strongly believe that the people in engineering and especially engineering students would love listening to you. That's really intense. Really, continuous learning and education helps to improve job performance, individual competitiveness, and employability. Thank you for sharing, Vijay. It was really nice, really nice. Where do you see railway transport system moving in the next 5 to 10 years?
Rayman, based on what I have seen in the last 30 odd years, I see more and more shift towards performance-based system, where the focus will be more to understand the customer need and expectation, to define the best fit system solution, fulfilling a definitive set of system requirements with proven system assurance techniques for the acceptance by customer. That's where I see all these things moving. So I expect the customer will come with their operation requirements, reliability, availability expectation, motivation for upgrade, maintenance speed, RAM targets. And the industry will have to come with system requirements, system architecture, system integration, system V&V, system assurance to fulfill those objectives and the needs of the customer. That's where I see things moving very fast in every aspect in the railway systems.
Wow, you actually covered a lot in this. What I could hear from you, which isn't said, is you something you're talking about cutting edge products, technology, and innovation. I hear a lot. Wow, it was really pleasure talking to you. Before I let you go, Vijay, can you share your one piece of advice to our listeners?
Most certainly, Rahman. My one piece of advice to our listeners would be believe in yourself, keep learning, and go outside of your comfort zone to explore new frontiers. Success will be yours. And the last statement that I would like to make as my parting statement is success is the result of perfection, hard work, learning from failure, loyalty towards the work you do, and persistence. That's how you succeed.
Amazing. It looks as if I'm listening to a teacher. 35 years of experience speaks volumes. Indian Railways speaks volumes. Thanks for your time, Vijay.
Thank you, Raymond.
I believe everyone listening to this podcast has got something to take away from today's discussion. If you like this podcast, please listen, follow, and share this podcast within your network. If you believe we should be sharing your story or someone within your network, there is a railway leader who should be here sharing his or her contribution to this industry. Contact me on railway transportation systems at gmail.com. Thank you for your time today. See you next fortnight. Until then, stay safe and take care of yourself.